Hi there, welcome back. This is my second video in the series on my two-finger guitar technique. If you want to make sense of what I'm talking about in this video, please go back, have a look at my intro video to my two-finger technique because it will make sense of what's going on here. So this video is going to look at open D tuning and some derivatives of open D. And this was a tuning I standardized on for quite a while, particularly during recording the songs on Herd Immunity. And this was in my quest for working out what tunings would be most useful to me, given that I've got limitations with my fingers on my left hand due to arthritis. So let's have a look at open D tuning. We know that when we play the open strings here, we're going to get a D major chord. The good thing about going to open D tuning from standard EADGBE tuning is you only need to retune 4 of the strings. So the E string goes down 1 step to D, the A stays put, the D stays put as well, and the G string goes down half a step to F sharp. The B string goes down 1 whole step to A, and the E string is tuned down 1 step to D. So what that means is, of course, you've got 3 Ds. So you've got 2 octave spread on the tonic or the root notes. Then you've got the 5th is coming up here on the A strings. So we've got an octave with the A's with the 5th of the chord. And then the 3rd of the chord is just represented by the F sharp string here in the middle. And because we've got these pairs of strings, we've got the pair of fifths and the 3 strings at different octave intervals for the tonic. Open tunings of this sort have a particular kind of sound to them, which makes the chords you play with them sound somewhat different from conventional tuning. And if you just take the top 4 strings here, you notice that the 5th is actually in the lower octave than the 3rd. So you've got like I think it's correct to say that's a second inversion. So my music theory is not great, and you'll probably realise that fairly soon. So apologies if I get any of this wrong. I'm doing my best. So we've got these pairs and triples and interesting voicings here. So given my limitation, I can of course bar across. I can get a G major chord at the 5th fret here if I want. I can play. I've got this E major chord, and incidentally, those of you who might want to use an open E tuning, but because that involves raising the pitch of certain strings above conventional tuning, you might not want to do that, particularly if you've got a flimsy guitar. If you tune to open D and capo off the 2nd fret for your E chord, that gives you the equivalent of an open E tuning, because the relative pitches of the strings are the same between open D and open E. We're talking about open D here for the time being, and as I say, I can bar across various positions to get different major chords, and given that I've got this little finger that I can fret with, I can make some variations. So supposing I sharpen the 3rd by a semitone, I get the 4th. So I've got a sus4 chord. It's nice to go between the sus4 and the major chord, used a lot in my songs and lots of other songs. And the other thing I can do is there's an add 9 here. There's a 9. Trying to get to a 7th. This is on the it's on the A string. I can just about play a 7th, although it's a real stretch. So that's with my little finger. I'm barring across on the G, which would normally be a G major, and I'm putting the little finger up on the 2nd string up here to get my 7th. I can't really successfully play that, but going down a semitone there's a dominant 7 there, which is useful. And sometimes I can even bring the 3rd finger to bear, and I can get, so it's bringing in the 6th and the 4th. That's a useful tuning or useful pattern. Notice the guitar's a little bit out of tune here, so apologies for that. Okay, so that's open D major. I can do a certain amount with that. Supposing I want a song with a minor chord, well, the obvious thing to do is to tune the 3rd down semitone. Somewhere around there. And then it's easy enough, if I want to raise the 3rd by semitone, I get the major chord as well. So I've got the D major. If I take my finger off there, off the 3rd, I've got the minor. Similarly, I can do that, say, with the G major, or G minor, the G major. I've still got, with my 3rd finger here, I can go to the sus4. So that's all right. And however, if I want to do something like a dominant 7, I can do that with a minor chord. So that's G, dominant 7. But if I want a G major dominant 7, I can't really manage that with my fingers. I can't get that 3rd raise the semitone. So those are my limitations with open D major and open D minor. Now, songs that I wrote in open D were COVID-19 and Let Me Go from the album Herd Immunity, if you want to give those songs a listen. Best example I can think of a song that I wrote in open D minor would be Hanging in the Stars, for example. So if I show you a little bit about how that went together, it started on E, in fact E major, so I'm fretting across the 2nd position there, 2nd fret, and then I'm raising the minor 3rd to the major, so I've got the E major chord. So the intro is playing on the E minor, and then I'm coming up to G sharp sus4 to G major, and then I'm playing an F sharp minor, but the voicing I've used on the recording is this one. Sorry, this one. So what I'm doing here, I'm playing the 3rd again, but an octave higher. Just to, somehow it gives a different kind of melancholy sound to the chord. So play it with the 3rd an octave above and without. Just add something there. And then I'm finishing up on the 7th fret with an A minor. So if we have a look at Hanging in the Stars for the first half of the verse, I'm beginning with the E major chord. So I'm fretting across with my 1st finger, 2nd fret, and then I'm adding my little finger to make the major. Goes something like this. Returning to Earth in 2055, I'm quite surprised to find anyone alive. Hang up my spacesuit, flip on the news. That's when it hits me, those old... Now this part, the Old Earth Blues, I'm coming to the A minor, dominant 7. To the 6th, so A minor 7, A minor dom 7 to the A minor 6th chord. I think that's right. Before we go to the G major, I've been hanging in the stars, and so on. So nothing else in that song particularly fancy. I'm throwing in a few sus4s, I'm throwing in the minor Dom 7 at the end of the verse, and apart from that little trick here where I'm just adding the third an octave above to give myself that extra flavour on the F sharp minor. There's nothing fancy about that, it's all standard major and minor chords. So that's an example of what I was doing with the open D tunings and with the open D minor variation on that. And so what I'll do in the next video is I'll have a look at open G and give you some examples of some more songs where I'm using open G and derivatives of that tuning. So look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now.